Good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome to this meeting of your Los Angeles City Council. Today is Tuesday, June 25th, 2024. I'm Paul Krikorian. Councilmember Rahman, would you please lead us?
Yes, with pleasure. Please stand, place your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, Jason Reedy, Camille Lewis, and Wayne Spindler just disrupted the flag salute in this council chambers. I'm going to instruct each of the three of them and everyone else who's sitting here in the council chambers that there will be absolutely no disruption of this meeting. If I hear any shouting out by anyone from this point forward, you'll immediately be removed from the council chambers. There will be no further warnings to anyone. All right? I hope everyone is clear on that.
Understood. Thank you. My name is Soma Snakewell, Executive Director and co-founder of the Lived Experience Harm Reduction Organization, the Sidewalk Project. MacArthur Park is one of our service areas since this past year. During Q1, we saved over 300 lives from overdose through our naloxone distribution project and did dozens of direct staff-performed overdose reversals. Sometimes my team responds to multiple ODs at the same time at the park. These numbers are just scratching the surface of the unmet need. As well, my team cannot sustain the fever pitch we are working at between Skid Row and MacArthur Park. We must build capacity to continue to perform at this level. As a former opiate user and a stakeholder in the community, I implore you to spend opioid settlement dollars to fund existing harm reduction outreach, street medicine teams, and a harm reduction drop-in center in CD1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Corinne Urich. I'm also a physician assistant with the USC Street Medicine team, giving general comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute. Please begin.
Thank you. So like I said, I'm a PA with the USC Street Medicine team, a medical provider working in CD1 specifically. I am one of the medical providers who provides healthcare services in MacArthur Park. I would just like to give testimony to what we see in the park every day. Mac Park is like nothing else we've seen in street medicine before. As many of you know, it's a younger transient population, often using fentanyl and other substances. And like many of my colleagues who will speak as well, we have responded to many, many overdoses in the park. Another large part of the work that we do is centered on wound care, and the wounds we see in Mac Park are also like nothing else we've seen before because of fentanyl as well as xylazine, which we think is in the drug supply. On top of this, our patients there have many chronic, complex medical needs and psychiatric needs. All in all, I'm just here to say that we need more support, more funding, especially for harm reduction, which is often the bridge between healthcare and our patients living on the street, especially Mac Park. Thank you.
Hello, Spider Davila with public comment. I'm with Community Health Project LA. I'm a director of participant services there. As frontline workers, we reverse overdoses nearly every time we are in MacArthur Park, and our participants reverse countless other overdoses. Harm reduction saves lives and prevents the spread of deadly diseases amongst the population of people who experience homeless. Harm reduction workers also perform first aid and get people into medical care. We get more people who are unhoused into treatment than any other source in the city. MacArthur Park is one of the city's 2 epicenters of the overdose epidemic and the epicenter of the xylazine epidemic. Please earmark opioid settlement funds specifically to the MacArthur Park area. Our participants would be greatly served also by having a harm reduction center, a respite center in the CD1 area. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I have a master's in public health. I'm the granddaughter and daughter of Guatemalan immigrants who arrived to the MacArthur Park neighborhood in the 70s. I urge the city prioritize opioid resettlement funds for community-led research and health interventions to address disparities of the overdose epidemic on MacArthur Park, a historically Central American neighborhood with an indigenous immigrant majority. MacArthur Park's residents face daily structural violence through the U.S. immigration detention and deportation system and structural barriers to basic services such as refugee resettlement, employment, housing, and healthcare. Residents face compounding health crises, including the highest mortality rates from fatal overdose in the city, along with Skid Row. Today, my abuela and mother's first community upon arriving to LA faces compounding health crises. The social abandonment of MacArthur Park by local, state, and federal governments exposes structural racism towards indigenous Central American migrant communities who migrated to the U.S. to escape U.S.-funded military interventions. To generate health justice in MacArthur Park, we must use resettlement funds for culturally responsive harm reduction health interventions formed by
Your time
Central
has
Americans that
expired.
address historical
Thank you very
intergenerational.
much. Thank you. Next speaker, please. Thank you very much. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
I'm a Master's of Public Health student at UCLA and have 2 years of experience working in harm reduction, including medications for addiction treatment outreach and drug checking. Today I'm speaking on my own behalf and not as a representative of UCLA. I strongly support using opioid settlement funds for harm reduction, including a harm reduction center in MacArthur Park. Harm reduction is a philosophy and practice that prioritizes promoting and protecting the health of people who use drugs through evidence-based approaches like providing sterile injection supplies, Narcan, medications for addiction treatment, and drug checking services. These techniques are proven to improve health outcomes and save lives. These approaches allow us to build trust with and instill hope in participants, which facilitates connections to healthcare and substance use treatment. For these reasons and more, opioid settlement funds should be spent on harm reduction services, and so I'm strongly in favor of item 18. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
All items and general comment.
Okay, good morning. You have 3 minutes for the items and 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin.
All right, so let's start off with, there's an item, it's 29, which is to light up City Hall for Olympic Day. Fuck the Olympics. The Olympics are just basically going to have more policing, more gentrification. They're not really going to be good for the community, and they're not for the community. We should have all of you participate in an Olympic event, though. Olympic gaslighting, another amount of times you gaslight the public. A lot of you doing really well in it, probably. We have item 30. That's reward money for snitches. Why isn't there any reward money if we have any information when the cops go and shoot people? You always have reward money for if we have information on when some civilian shoots someone, but no information on if we have no reward money if I have any information on like when the cops shoot someone. So I wish I could get that money. We have item 33. That's a motion seconded by Kevin De Leon. None of that should be passed by the council. We have item, here's a good one, 35. That's from Krikorian. It's related to when the Burbank Police Department dropped a unhoused person in front of his office who was having a mental health crisis or something. You're all just disappointed that it wasn't the LAPD doing that to Burbank. You don't actually care about unhoused people. You're just disappointed you didn't get to do it to them, to Burbank. So, yeah. We have item 40. That's related to charter reform, governance reform. So you can pretend to actually be reforming the city while you have Kevin De Leon sitting on the council. He's at least not here today, so you at least don't be voting on it. But you're just going to do that. But you're not interested in the actual reform. We have... Let's go to general comment now.
Okay, so you have 1 minute.
All right, it looks like she left the room, of course. But, I want to talk about Katy's lies, Karen Bass's lies. So the event that happened on Sunday was at the synagogue was an event to sell stolen Palestinian land to colonizers in Palestine, land that was stolen. That was what they were protesting. They were not and the people who were violent were the people who supported this event, who went and attacked people protesting the event. That is what happened. So stop trying to change the narrative. The event was selling stolen land. They were not protesting the religion. They were not protesting just because it was a synagogue. They were protesting a specific event at the synagogue.
Your 1 minute for general public comment has expired.
What? I have 25 seconds.
So, no, I was keeping track on my phone. The clerk's office was busy, so they couldn't reset the timer when you requested to move to general. So you did get your full minute of general public comment.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
General public comment.
Okay, so you have
My
1 minute.
name is Adam from LA Cannes Human and Civil Rights Committee. Here, as always, to demand that Paul Krikorian schedule an independent hearing on the findings of the 4118 report, and that all departments that were asked to contribute be here to participate in said independent hearing. And regarding the narratives of anti-Semitism and violence being lifted by politicians regarding the event on Sunday, I wanted to share that my Jewish friend was pepper sprayed and assaulted, not because he was Jewish, but because he's anti-Zionist, and rightfully was protesting against the sale of illegally occupied land in Palestine and rightfully protesting genocide. As a human who also happens to be a dad, I was incredibly disgusted watching Palestinian children being burned to death on videos coming out of a refugee camp in northern Gaza last night after it was bombed by Israeli forces. This is the violence funded and facilitated by the U.S. and logically analogous to the state-facilitated death and displacement we see here in Skid Row and around L.A., that everyone should be talking and tweeting about, be fighting against, and not be enabling, excusing, and funding.
Katy, you don't care about those children, do you?
Jason Reedy, please sit down and be silent. Please sit down and be silent. All right, Jason Reedy is excluded from this meeting pursuant to Rule 12. Despite warnings, he's continuing to disrupt the meeting. Mr. Reedy, leave our meeting right now. Mr. Reedy, leave the meeting right now and silently. Hurry up, we have a meeting to conduct. Leave the meeting.
Mr. Reedy, you've been warned multiple times and you've been instructed to leave this meeting. So please do so quietly.
So Mr. Reedy is continuing to shout loudly in our council chambers as he's heading for the door. So we can't continue until he's out of the meeting.
Ms. Lewis, please sit down so that Mr. Reedy can leave.
Officers, please remove everyone who is part of this disruption. Goodbye, Mr. Reedy. Have a good day. All right. I'm going to call, before you begin, I'm going to call a few more names. Andrew Grabner is disrupting the meeting. Is he still in the chambers, or is he disrupting the meeting from outside the chambers? Okay, I'm ordering him excluded from this meeting pursuant to Rule 12 because he was continuing to disrupt even after he left.
Item 35, I think we need to narrow our waste of resources, to be honest with you. This was categorized originally by Paul Krikorian at a press conference as a dumping of somebody who requested to be placed there. He's asking for the city attorney, district attorney, and the attorney general to all step in for an investigation instead of asking the Burbank Police Department what happened. At his own press conference, he even mentioned something along the lines of not asking the Burbank Police Department what had happened. He said he was going straight to the mayor. That's kind of a waste of resources. It's highly inappropriate to present that to the press as a dumping. You have to be a little more careful with your words. And like I said, narrow down your topic of discussion and investigation instead of all those resources from taxpayers to just one agency to look it up, please. General comment.
Go right ahead. 1 minute for general public comment.
I think everything I just said went over the heads of everybody because everyone's having their own conversations right now. Nobody's paying attention to the whole meeting. Everybody has their conversations. I dare you guys, please recite what was just said over the last three speakers, please. Maybe you heard me just now, but you were not listening to this whole thing. This is not a quorum. This is not appropriate. You guys need to sit down, do your jobs. I know you have business to conduct, but when people are speaking and giving public comment, this just shows how much you guys don't care. I appreciate you, Councilmember Padilla. You mentioned it before. You sit down, you try to be early, and you listen during these discussions. I see that every now and then from other councils, but you guys got to step it up. This is ridiculous.
Next speaker, please. Thank you very much. All right, I'm going to call, before our next speaker comes up, Jake Dill, and then the rest of the people who signed up used silly, childish, fake names. So if you used one of those fake names, you're welcome to come up now as well.
Good morning, Speaker. What item would you like to speak to? And I would like to speak on all items. Okay, so you have 3 minutes for the items on the agenda, and you have 1 minute for the general public comment. Please begin with your items,
so
please.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much.
3 minutes for the items and 1 minute for general public comment.
Item 30, which is Harris Dawson and the Park. Again, City Attorney, do you remember how many times I talk about a similar agenda? I think you probably already tired of me talking about a similar agenda, which is continuing offering award to the unsolved murder. Remember, I told you that when you have 1,000 officers less on the street, when you have 500 detectives less on the street, then from what time, Mr. City Attorney, we no longer asking the police to solve the murder. We are asking the member of the public solving the murder. From what kind of the area, from what kind of a city council jurisdiction that we are asking a civilian to help you to solve the murder? That's ridiculous. And I know I'm going to come back to the same agenda next month. I know that. Next one, let's talk about number 33. Kevin De Leon, which is number 1, I support Kevin De Leon. Number 2 is about weed abatement services. Mr. City Attorney, you never liked me, but what I see right now in the city of Los Angeles, when you go to a random Los Angeles middle school, a random high school, a random Los Angeles college, university, you see majority of those students have easy access to weed, marijuana, whatever illegal drugs. When we are living in the city of LA, when you are so loose on the enforcement, when you are so easy on the enforcement, when you have no consequence of doing those, the weed are continuing to invade the street, the home, and the most important, our public school system. Sometimes even middle school kids has some sort of a weed or whatever when they pass by me in the metro station. They are small little kids. They smell like weed. This is because we have no enforcement action.
Speaker, you've exhausted your time on that item. Please move on to another item, and it's not talking about that kind of
We
weed.
are continuing to talking about number 34. Kevin De Leon. That's not a 34. 34 is Park. Continuing rolling over funding for the homeless outreach team. This is something I continue to support the council member, Park, because I do, like I said many times, homeless services are, many times you guys are continue to help homeless, having homeless services, but what I know, the population of homeless continue to go up. So the more work you do, the more homeless people end up on the street. I don't know why, but I know that is a statement of fact. So let's move on to the general public comment.
Okay, you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
The general public comment, I will speaking about the number 35, which is the Burbank Police Department incidents. I would say that when Los Angeles become a homeless heaven, all of the neighboring city, all of the neighboring county, all of the neighboring state are going to transfer those homeless people into Los Angeles. I remember the Governor Texas sent several busloads to Union Station because that's what you wanted. And I believe that right now Burbank is doing it. And I believe Pasadena, Arcadia, they have done similar things, but the only thing is Krikorian never caught those on camera. So what I know is when you are having a failed homeless system, then all of your neighboring city, neighboring county, neighboring state knows that, and they're gonna send people to your door because that's what you asked, that's what you voting for, that's what you advocated for. You get exactly what you deserve. Thank you.
Good morning. So you have 3 minutes for the items and 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin with the items.
Yes, thank you, ambulance chaser. So number 15, it's the Buckethead motion. Yes, last Friday.
Too bad Unisys missed the meeting.
The Honorable Pat McKKK Oscar, he called out Deputy Attorney Wayne Song. No relation to this jackass over here. You better watch that. Yes, and said that there was some language snuck in. And, of course, poor Martin Krikorian wasn't paying attention. And now we're here today to reopen public comment.
But you know what you didn't see?
My photograph of your lawyer, Mr. Pumpkinhead, getting in a secret meeting with some other lawyers. Were you invited there, Paul? How about you, Unisys? Why is your lawyer having secret meetings with other lawyers and not telling you about it or inviting you to it?
I think it's called a closed session.
But number 15 is to make it easier to fire police officers. I support it. Fire all of them today.
Speaker, you've exhausted your 1 minute on this item.
Yes,
move
dumbass. I know that, yes. It's not his first rodeo. No. And number 4, the Arco AM/PM mini market, located in West Roscoe Boulevard. It says CD6, but I believe it's North Hollywood. Isn't that CD2?
I think it might be in the wrong district. Let's ask Imelda.
So is item number 4 really in your district? Okay, yes, as usual, not paying attention. Maybe texting an associate. But I will support it. Why? Because West Roscoe Boulevard is a fucking certified fucking shithole. And number 2, if I lived near there, I'd want to drink myself to death too. So I fully support it. Go down there, everybody, like Frank Sinatra used to string. Drink, drink, till you're under the table drunk with a bad liver. And then we have the homeless criminal motion on number 35. Imagine the petty pink-skinned dictator caring about a homeless criminal brought from the beautiful city of Burbank to be dropped off in front of his home office. Well, after all, Paul, didn't you use your community center for an immigrant center and kick out the homeless, like Mr. Gus reported?
Who, by the way, won an award last night, in case you didn't know.
Yes, you don't give a shit about the homeless. You never did. You don't give a shit about...
No, I hate them too. I agree. That's one thing I agree with them on.
And I say, fuck the Burbank Police Department. Will you please dump these people in the cities of... I have an amendment. Santa Monica? Check. Lancaster? Check. And Duarte? Check. Yes, in front of Sergeant Duarte's home.
General
yes.
public comment.
And now, comment. We want to thank Imelda Padilla for burning up a fireman. Let's give her a hand. Oh, boy. Yes, that's right. Her homeless encampment exploded over there by Havenhurst and Burbank, where all of those voicemails and emails went from a certain animal with horns. So when the fireman gets out and he gets a PI attorney, you can do a CPRA request to know that Imelda had sufficient and competent notice. That's what Paul calls it. So that he can sue later for a dangerous condition and get millions and millions of dollars at only the age of 29. This is brought to you by Jacoby and Myers. Isn't it about time? And finally, we want to thank Unisys for shutting down a drug bar over there in her district. Yes. As you know, there are 2 council members you can't buy. Congratulations, you buckethead, too, you big fat
your time
fuck.
has expired. Next speaker.
Good morning.
Good morning. If you could please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you'd like to speak to.
Corey Schmidt, for the record, all items and public comment.
So you have 3 minutes for the items and 1 minute for general public comment. Please
All right.
begin with the item.
Yeah, sure. All right. How are you fuckers doing? Woo! It's
You'll
been
need
a
to speak
while.
to the agenda item or go to general public comment.
Oh, man. Krikorian, why are you wearing that shirt, man? You can
All right.
already...
All right, give him his 1 minute for general public comment.
Oh, man. Oh, already. That's okay. How you guys doing? It's been a while, right? It's been a couple of months. Mr. Laser up here, you know. It's good to see you, big guy. You know, you've got, what, 54? Maybe 53 days left? I don't know. I mean, you know, he's on his way out. But he's my buddy, right? He's K2, right? Speaking of K2, have you guys heard about this shit? It's fake weed, right? It's fake weed. I don't know what it's dusted with. It's dusted with something, but they call it K2, right, Krikorian? So, you know, just wondering if you guys are on top of that. But yeah, we were over at LAPD just now. Everybody's doing good. Not sure if you guys stop by there ever, you know, say hi to the guys down at the bottom level. But yeah, just wanted to stop by. Bobby, it's good to see you. Anyways, I'm glad you guys are doing great.
All right, good deal then, brother. Hey, can we get some, can we get some of those, fathead posters down on, Figueroa? Because the other day I was down on Figueroa with this little freaky little thing, and
Speaker, this is not on the agenda. This is your only warning. Please
Yes, sir?
stick to the agenda items I just listed,
Yes, sir.
or I'm going to move you to general public comment.
all right, good deal. All right, well, anyway, I'll just get to the point. I was, like I said, I was down on Figueroa with this little freak thing, and she was,
Again, every day it's what
Yes,
you
sir?
did on Figueroa.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to be moving on to general public comment. You have 1 minute to speak. Go ahead with your general public comment. All right, next speaker, please.
Thank you, sir. You know, I was really thrilled when smoking scans first came on the scene. I thought, oh my God, these people are going to help us get rid of this city of corruption. I mean, for a few things there I heard were unbelievable. I really was starting to respect some of the people. And now, what do you have? Some knuckleheads who talk about Figueroa. Aren't they ashamed of themselves? Another one that all he talks about is perversion. I mean, come on, Smoking Scan. You guys can do better. Help change this city. Help improve this city. I don't know who the head of this group is, but, sir, they refer to you all the time, and I hope that you can help make this city a greater city, not a more embarrassing city. Thank you.
The LA City Council is the most corrupt local government in the history of the United States, where petty pink-faced corrupt Armenian dictator Paul Krikorian has indicted embezzling polygamous criminal Kern Price and Sleazy Dawson to voting daily with unelected Heather Hutt. The black community has zero representation from these incompetent, corrupt, sellout, self-serving, indicted black Uncle Tom criminal members of this corrupt city council. This never gets old. I demand all their resignations, demand the resignation of petty pink-faced corrupt Armenian dictator Krikorian. Public black faces occupy 20% of the sleazy council, yet black people are nearly 50% of the homeless, 50% of the incarcerated, 50% of the unemployed. I demand all their resignations. Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
Again, I brought it up, like Gold Puppet said, to make Emilio Padilla financially liable or physically liable for knowing about 9080, a homeless encampment that has developed in a property that she's not helping expedite the Starbucks to be placed. I've already looked into it. They need some push to get this gone and get the demolition done so Starbucks can come and start developing. We got people living on the outside. I've been reporting it for the last month, brought it to your attention last Friday. I'm sorry, the person that runs your kiosk, I heard him or her push the buttons to mute me off the kiosk. No, I didn't hang up, Mr. President. I wouldn't hang up, or else you wouldn't have heard my numbers, my last four numbers. Okay, so don't tell me we hang up. This person's censoring who he wants because he sees the numbers regularly.
Thank
This is Richard Serrano.
Thank you very much.
Speaker,
Next
your
caller,
time is
please.
expired.
Good morning. How you doing? Sean Murphy from Canoga Park.
Good morning, and if you could just move the phone a little bit further away, we'd appreciate it. Which items would you like to
Oh,
speak
shut
to?
up. I got the phone further away. I don't want to hear that.
Sean,
It's hard to
Sean,
hear you.
Which items would you like to speak on, Sean?
General public comment. This city attorney has got to go.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for the item, but it is difficult to hear you because your voice is muffled. Go ahead.
I have the volume turned down.
Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah. I'd like to thank Ulysses Hernandez. 2 Saturdays ago, I attended her event. It was a great car show. Thank you, Ulysses. I appreciate it. She treated me well. Most people say when you come to their events, you don't get treated well. Well, she treated me well. We need to protect our synagogues. Our Jewish friends are getting raped, getting beaten. It's not right. It's not right. I mean, we need to protect them. I grew up with Jews. In the Miracle Mile, I grew up, they had Jews. In the Miracle Mile area, Beverly, Fairfax, I grew up in that area. I know what I'm talking about. I feel sorry for them. Thank you, Karen Bass, for having that news conference. We need to protect our Jewish synagogues. Thank you, Krikorian.
Thank you, Sean.
With the items, okay, thank you so much. This is Joanna, volunteer, LA Can. Also, been working in harm reduction, outreach, and research for the past 6 years. First off, we need to protect all of our people, and that includes everyone that is a victim of U.S.-made bombs, currently children in Palestine. The liquor license. So, I think we're at a place where societally we're understanding that addiction is neither a choice nor a disease. It's an attempt to solve a problem. And one of the ways that we're attempting to solve the problem with alcohol is by regulating it, right? And, we have safe consumption sites, otherwise known as bars, for alcohol. Now, when we're looking at other drugs, we got to ask, why are we not doing that with drugs like meth, which have been found to affect the body almost identically to Adderall? The way that we treat people who use meth versus people who use Adderall is extremely different. And that's why I'm bringing up item 3, is because while you are passing these liquor licenses and legalizing substance use around the city, please consider when you're taking the opioid dollars and using them for sobriety only, abstinence only type of shit, that is going to result in more deaths. We see that harm reduction, showing people that their lives actually matter, whether or not they're, quote, clean, is really, really important. And to the previous speaker's point, housing isn't being built. That $1 billion from Gavin Newsom, a governor who made his money selling intoxicants, is going to build locked treatment facilities. And we don't want to see those opioid dollars also going to fund locked carceral solutions, quote unquote, to problems that are inherently health-based and societally based. We need to see decriminalization. We need to see an understanding and a willingness and courage from politicians. Am I on item 35 yet, or are we still on 3?
Sorry,
No.
you've exhausted your time on 3, and you're almost up with your time on the items. Was there another item you wanted to
Right.
speak to? Or you can go to general public comment.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to 35. I think there's a great irony of making an investigation into an incident of abandoning a severely distressed unhoused individual, Paul, when you and Imelda and all of y'all have been supporting 4118 operations, which do exactly that. We've been fighting for over a year for a report on the impact of how that severely distresses unhoused individuals, and we have not heard back. We need to hear what those impacts actually are and what the costs and efficacies are from those departments that are involved. People are scattered, moved to new areas that aren't safe. They have their stuff stolen. They encounter violence. 4118 is violence. General public comment, just to reiterate my point.
So you have 1 minute.
Use those opioid settlement dollars for non-forced treatment. Use it to fund the respite center in CD1, which is direly needed. I'm a resident of MacArthur Park. I do outreach there. I see people pass. I see the ways that services are not going to the people that need it. And, when we think about what is kind of the outreach that has been pretty consistent there, it's Rampart. And we have.
Thank you very much. Your time's expired.
And just another point, but quick, before I finish with my talking points, is that earlier this month in April, or a couple months ago in April, LAPD found 1.5 pounds of fentanyl just a couple blocks away from the park. 1.5 pounds in one encampment. And you know, we have examples here of respite centers in LA. You know, Homeless Healthcare Center for Harm Reduction and the Refresh Spot have both shown that investing in trauma-informed models of care can save lives. And as lives are saved, this center will also serve as a bridge to other healthcare, social, and housing services, including the Mayor's Drug Treatment Program, which is also funded by these opioid settlement funds. Colleagues, a vote for this report is a vote for saving lives, lives of some of the most vulnerable community members that we have, and I ask you to join me in supporting this initiative. And if I could just go quickly through this, just has some of the data points that we're experiencing in MacArthur Park. So more than 28% of residents in the zip code live below the poverty line in that area. Fire has reported that they respond to at least 4 overdose calls every single day, and again recently up to 15 in one overnight shift. Last year, we experienced 83 fatal overdoses just in the zip code of MacArthur Park. The model that we're trying to open up is a respite center that will offer harm reduction services such as naloxone, providing a space for desperately needed services such as showers, wound care, hygiene kits, restrooms, case management, and more. And as seen from other models of other respite centers in Los Angeles and across the country, these spaces have shown to reduce overdoses, calls to our emergency medical services, fire or police, and exposure to substance use and supplies for the general public. I want to add one more piece, if I can, is that the Respite Center in MacArthur Park is just one strategy that we're layering in this area. And so we are working, and my team has done this work of coordinated outreach coverage for 6 days a week. Before, there were a lot of service providers, but it was very choppy. So people were falling through the cracks. Some organizations were serving the same individual twice, the same day. So we have coordinated services so that there's delivery of services 6 days a week. We have a dedicated USC street medicine team there 2 days a week. We have a harm reduction / public health working group comprised of mutual aid groups and service providers that are helping us do this work. We have a coordinated planning committee with recreation and parks, LAPD, and outreach teams to address the needs of unhoused park patrons. And we've installed 4 Sharps kiosks that average 1,500 disposed needles each month that would otherwise be disposed of unsafely. And also, colleagues, I know that we're in a budget deficit, so I've done the work of going to other places to find money to make this happen. I've worked with philanthropy to secure thousands of dollars to get us a real estate agent to locate a building in the area. United Way of Greater LA is partnering with us to give us more resources to hopefully refurbish this building. We have these $3 million from the city, but we've also gotten $500,000, and we're in the process of getting $500,000 from the county to help us with the mobile overdose prevention team. So I'm now coming to the city to help us complete this project, to help us complete the layering of services. So I ask for your aye vote on this. Thank you.
Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
11 ayes, 1 no.